Very good. Now let's look at the group specific punch generating rules, punch nuances, technical nuances. So let's look at the straight punching group and what are the technical nuances of generating a straight punch, being that a jab or a cross. Stick with me. So to generate a jab or a cross, which are the straight punches, we already know that we start from a neutral position, palms facing us, right? You see them, they're looking at me. You stretch the punch or you stretch the forearm to about 70 to 80%, I would say, approximately. And that when you almost fully stretch, of course you start this with a fist made already, right? And I'm just, for the illustration, I'm doing palm open. Almost when fully stretched, about 80%, we perform a 180-degree rotation, as such as that the elbow is almost pointing up. Of course, you make a fist and you connect with the two knuckles, first two knuckles that go through the bone, because this is where the most support happens. You see, we want to follow this line. You don't want to connect with the outside knuckles. You want to connect with the inside knuckles. Really important, really important. Okay, this actually, if you connect on a straight fight with no protection, no gloves, it's very easy to dislocate these two knuckles. It's very easy to dislocate the first two knuckles as well, but the last two knuckles of our fist, 100% guaranteed you'll have them dislocated. So when you perform a punch, make sure that you connect with the first two knuckles, and of course you have gloves as well, and make a good fist. Okay, so again, starting to generate a jab, but that's true also about the cross you'll see in a moment. Neutral position, like Mike Tyson. And now you stretch the punch, almost 70-80%, fully stretched. You perform a 180-degree and you finish by fully stretching the forearm and connect with the first two knuckles. That's it. It's as simple as that. A jab, and true is about a cross as well. No difference. The only difference is that now I'm rotating into the punch. Okay, you notice that I've started neutral here, and we will talk about the types of punch execution. So you have more ways of executing the punch, but the very basic one, the one we start with, static, nothing else moves but my forearm for the jab, and for the cross, my upper body just rotates as such as that I can take the place, or I can connect in the same spot as I did with my jab. I connect with my cross. But the technical nuances in terms of forearm generating the punch, it's exactly the same. I start with stretching and rotating at the same time, stretching and rotating my back forearm, and almost when fully stretched, I perform a 180-degree rotation and I look to hit with the first two knuckles my target. Okay, you know already that you have to look for releasing your heel off the floor. Make sure your hips travel as much as possible, and your shoulders, your back shoulder takes the place of the front shoulder, such as that you can connect in the same spot with the cross, right? So is a jab and a cross technical execution, and in reality it would look like this. You don't stay there, you don't do this, right? What goes out comes back home. jab, cross, jab, cross, jab, cross. Okay? Jab, cross, jab, cross. Good? Fantastic. Now let's look at the uppercuts. We start from the same retracted elbow to the cage rib, elbows from the cage rib, neutral position, palms facing us, okay, making a fist, and we perform this follow movement. Our hand drops slightly, not like this. I don't want you to perform uppercuts like this. No. Just a little bit. You stretch it, bring it up, and bring it to your face. Okay? As simple as that. You just drop your hand a little bit, or the forearm a little bit, just a little bit, just to clear the nose. Right here. I'm having it close to my eyes. Okay? I'm dropping it a little bit. Now, performing a slight shoulder movement. Stretching it at about probably 70-80% more or less, fully stretched, and then you go up and bring it back home. That's it, like this. That's it, nothing more complicated. We will talk about different execution times in this, then when we use some loading and generate more power, but that is coming later. For now, just for the sake of you getting along with the punch or getting started, static, this is how we start all the punches, and then we will add movement, we will add different other elements to make it more versatile, the punch. But to start with, we start with static. We drop the hand a little bit, the forearm a little bit, and reach the target. Drop. Perform this movement. That's it. Nothing complicated. Easy. Good. Now, let's look at the back uppercut. The uppercut generated by the back shoulder. Nothing changes with the exception that we will have to rotate into the punch. Drop it a little bit, just a little bit, okay? Just a little bit. Make sure that the other uppercut or the other forearm is not dropping somewhere. This is very common. Don't laugh. This is very common, people doing this. Please don't laugh about it, because that's true. If you go and you observe someone new that is just starting boxing, this is how they do it. Please. Pay good attention, take your time, do it slow, punch by punch. Make sure that you keep the other hand close to your chin, close to your head. Load it and ready to fire. Okay? Good. Back uppercut. Dropping slightly. Dropping slightly. And performing this rotation. Dropping slightly. Okay. That's it. Dropping slightly, not here, just a little bit. And bring the shoulder or rotate into the punch. One very important detail, especially for the back, is true about the front one, the front uppercut, but the back uppercut it's even more important, is that you squeeze the elbow inside. It will have the tendency to go outside. squeeze it inside. Okay, so as such is that you can connect with the two inside knuckles, the first two knuckles, all right? So you kind of have to squeeze inside, so almost like drilling inside. If I keep my elbow in the central line, I don't have to lean to compensate. It just goes through in a certain line, right? That's it. Just goes through in a certain line. I'm able to reach the target. If I'm not starting from a center line, which most of the people that do boxing, they for some reason they start punching arms open for whatever reason. Either because they find it difficult to start here from a neutral position, or they are not aware of. Most of the times because they are not aware of. What happens is they start here with the open arms, and when they start performing the uppercut, all of a sudden they see that they cannot connect through. So in order to connect through, they lean into sideways. Now it's going through. The only adjustment you have to do is make sure you bring your elbow in the center, you keep it in the center line, and now you don't have to compensate anymore. You just rotate into the punch and it will reach the target, no problem. Okay, so that is the uppercut. Last but not the least, we will be talking about technical nuances and execution of the hook or the hook punching group. Like all the other punches, we start from a neutral position, palms facing us, right? And we perform a front hook. That's it. Simple. Nothing really too complicated. Up to about 70 to 80%, it is all the same as with all the other punches. So we start here from a neutral position, palm facing us, and I'm stretching the punch. I'm stretching the punch, right? Or stretching the forearm. It's going in a forward direction, like I'm doing with the jab and to a certain extent with the uppercut. But with the jab, it's exactly the same. It doesn't change. What changes is the last moment. What is with the jab? I'm doing a rotation of the fist 180 degree, right, to connect with the jab. With the hook, I'm not doing a 180 degree, I'm only doing 90 degree. From the palm facing me, I'm just doing a 90 degree and the elbow stays there, right? You see it. So it's almost like I'm becoming like a cobra. I'm showing that I'm strong. You're laughing, but that's actually what is happening. It's almost like you're feeling your side muscles are getting like this, right? See, if you don't do this movement, you can't really do that. You can't really bring it. You can, but it's a little bit too tense and you stay a bit too open. I feel that there is need to it's almost like you're covering yourself with the shoulder muscle, with the shoulder, you're covering your chin when you're throwing the hooks, right? It's almost like you're hitting yourself. If you feel that you're hitting yourself with the shoulder muscle, it's good. It means it's good. All right. So that's the only difference, is that I'm stretching the punch as I'm doing with the jab, and at the very last moment I'm doing kind of a little bit of a slight outside movement, and then you connect by bringing force inside. So there is a subtle movement inside from the upper body, as such as that you can connect the hook. So it looks a little bit like that, right? And remember, what goes out comes back home. And notice that I'm not leaning into, I'm staying behind the knee line. Very important. You feel good. You feel that if you're behind the knee line, you can put your entire body behind the punch. If you're off balance, it's kind of difficult. There's more a punch coming from the hand and not from the upper body and the upper body rotation. It needs good support to create that impact, to create power. Okay, it needs good support from the upper body. So, what is the difference from the front hook to the back hook? No difference, with the exception that you have to generate the upper body rotation, but that's no secret anymore. And of course, we have to watch. We have to make sure that we enable hip rotation, shoulder rotation, as such as that the back shoulder is taking the place of the front shoulder, and we can reach the same spot as we did with the front hook. So, whereas this was the front hook, okay, we keep it about 70-80%. Very much depends where your opponent is. Sometimes you make it a bit shorter, sometimes you make it a bit longer. It depends where your opponent is. If your opponent is already closer, it will be shorter. If it's already further away, it will be longer. So the hooks, you make them shorter, or you make them longer, depending where the target is. In our case, it's the back. Okay, so it's not an exact science. All right. Ideally, would be about my forearm is about 70% stretched, but that's ideal. What we are looking for is to be able to connect outside the bag like this. That is a hook. When we are doing it on the back, we try to connect here on the lateral, and that we are flat, mainly with the first two knuckles. We kind of flatten the back. Okay, we don't want to connect. Many times what you'll see common mistakes is that people connect here with the lower parts, or the lower knuckles, or the peripheral knuckles, and that is damaging in the long run, and is damaging for the wrist and for the entire punch structure. You want to, if you want good punch support from wrist to elbow, shoulder, if you want it all integrated, then make sure you connect with the first two knuckles. It's really important. Okay, that's it. Oh, by the way, not really. You see this? Honestly and realistically, when do you have the time to do that? You don't really. And if you want to build combinations, how do you? Remember that we don't use the lower body to punch. We use it to commute, to move in and out and outside. That is the main function, let's say so. That's the main goal of the lower body, is to move us, is not to punch. So we want to stay ready for the next punch. We want to stay ready for the next move, right? And if you're doing this all the time, you wobble on your legs. When I see this, like on the internet, is quite a lot of that. Go and watch, please, a Mike Tyson, a Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather, any high-level boxer from the past and from the present, and watch them connecting punches. Watch them and see how many of them do this movement. How many of them? I don't remember, but sometimes mistakenly so, but not an intention to generate more power. Because remember, they generate power from good upper body rotation and not from the legs or the foot movement. Actually, I need my feet to be grounded and properly grounded in order to support all the kinetic energy that I'm generating with my upper body. Okay, so if you need more, generate more. If you need more power, generate more movement, more kinetic energy behind the punches from the upper body rotation. Your feet are mainly, primarily there to commute in and outside and sideways, and not to generate more force or more power. Okay, back hook. The back hook is the same as the front hook. You start and you stretch it. You start from the cage rib, and as you rotate, you release the punch. It's almost like you do a cross, but somewhere halfway through, you will start looking for getting around the back, right? This is what I mean. What is with the cross, you go through the back. With the hook, you're going around. So somewhere halfway through, you'll start opening a little bit and use a little bit of extra upper body rotation in order to support that movement and to generate force, not through, but outside in, right? It's outside in. So rotate only 90 degrees, connect with the first two knuckles on the side of the back or your opponent. That's it. Front, back hook. Good. Now, let's look at the 6 different executions of the punches, all of them. Not the 6 punches, the 6 ways of executing the punches. You will see what I mean in a moment.